All right, everybody, welcome to Coffee for Closers, a special Friday filming edition, so mind my attire. But again, we are back. We are excited to be back. We are obviously, wanting to pump out as much good content as we possibly can, and a lot has been happening here. And so, one of the most interesting thing that's come up recently has been, like we were saying in the last episode, the autopilot feature. But with autopilot came a ton of new workshops, like new presentations. And what we did recently was actually, and I'm sure, I don't know, Jacob, we probably have a clip that we can pull up at some point or put in the description that is cut from those presentations. But the thing I wanted to talk about today was the presentation that we did with the, kind of the story of retirement income and how it came to today, right? So what do we mean by that? This world, and it's not like this is an original idea. This has been done a ton by advisors telling the story of the gold watch and the pension are all gone.
Yeah.
But what I don't think people do enough in those stories is explain what that means. What are the implications of that? And so we have a workshop now on the autopilot system that's doing really, really well. And it tells the story of the world of the greatest generation, the story of the current baby boomers retiring, and what the future is going to hold. And it tells the story of the pension. And so, as a brief summary as we possibly can, and Jacob, you know this, we've done this a few times now. But for our viewers watching, y'all may not have thought about this, but think about the world of the pension. So we've got a pension. If we're our grandparents, we work for a company for 30 to 40 years, maybe a little longer than that, right? You got your grandfather have a pension?
Did he have a pension?
Yeah.
I don't think that he did have a pension.
What did he do? Do you know?
He was a pastor.
Jacob's young. Well, okay. That doesn't count.
So
the church takes care of you forever then, right?
I hope so.
I don't know how that works. But my grandfather had a pension, full pension. My wife's grandfather had a full pension and a military pension on top of that. But these pensions were full. It was 80% of your working income was going to be covered by your employer, which is essentially what all of us were living on anyway. If you count for the things that you were maybe saving for a rainy day in your checking or in a bank account somewhere, that's what you were really living on, was the 80%. And so now your employer is going to guarantee for the rest of your life a guaranteed income stream no matter what. And most of those had cost of living adjustments. And those lasted well into say the 80s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
You would have those pensions, those full pensions. And it was really, really good for the employer. Why the heck would they get rid of this? And that's what the whole story says is why would an employer get rid of this? This isn't just good for you. It's great for the employer because why? You can't, if you have a pension that you've been buying into for the last, or contributing to for the last 40 years or 30 years, or every year it gets worse and worse. Every year. First year, you're there for a year. You've contributed to that pension for a year. You lose that pension and have to start all over if you go to a new employer. And so what did the companies get out of that? The companies got loyalty from their workforce. They also got much more efficient in training those people. So the next hires in, the new people coming in, they got better training because the people that have been there longer, there have been people.
They're being trained by people
who've been
trained there for
by people
30,
that have been
40
there
years.
forever. And
Yeah.
so today's world, think about today's world, that's not the case. They might have to cling on to one really, really great manager to help train the new people coming in. And that's how most corporations are set up. There's a trainer or a training department that does all the new hire training regardless of departments. And then they plug in, and there's a manager or so on. But it used to be in the past that they would plug in, they would sit with somebody that's been there for 30, 40 years, and they would train their person that's going to replace them. And then that person works for 30, 40 years. Companies were wildly efficient. Computers have obviously made things even more efficient nowadays and everything like that. But the company's employment issues were almost, much less in turnover. We don't know the exact rates, but it doesn't really matter. It's an obvious thing. So why would they give up these pensions? And the story goes on, the slides go on. And it says, okay, well, because it's almost impossible possible to guarantee income for the rest of somebody's life. To guarantee income for somebody's life. It is a next to impossible task for the majority of folks, especially when you've got so many people contributing or so many people going into retirement with an arbitrary retirement date. The medical advancements that were going on in like the 60s, 70s, 80s, they hadn't had time to be realized until maybe 20, 30 years later. And so what happens? Well, the pension contributions didn't get adapted until they realized there was a problem.
Yeah.
So we see it in the federal pension, right? In the early 80s when the first pension came out, it used to be, you contributed 0.08%. Well, if you're a new hire today going into the federal pension space, you get the same pension outcome, so the same dollar amount when you retire. But now instead of contributing 0.8% of your retirement of your paycheck to the account, you're contributing now 4.4%.
And how much have they changed that over like the past 10 years or so?
3 times they've changed it.
Yeah.
Because again, every time they do it, they seem to be, oh shoot, we made that mistake wrong. People are actually living even longer. We need to adjust for this. Not to mention, like, if they make the change too late and then all of a sudden the market dips, we know sequence of returns. We're used to sequence of returns. They're living as a pension system, the sequence of returns world forever. There's always distributions going out of the fund, right? To pay all those bills, all those guaranteed income streams. And so they started to dissolve them, especially when Social Security came on. And this is where the tale kind of continues on, right? It's like, okay, so they come out with Social Security, a government-sponsored plan. Now the people that print the money are going to run a pension system, right? Because that's all it did is it just said, we're going to offload some of the liability from the company. We're going to put some of it on the consumer and some of it on the government. The government, well, I mean, look at all the talks in the news today. The government does a terrible job of guaranteeing that income for all of these people, even at a 30-something% of working income rate. Like, they're not even trying to replace somebody's entire income. They're just trying to do a meager third.
Yeah.
Right? And then so what happens? They're almost belly up. They're insolvent to a degree. I mean, they're definitely insolvent at this point. Nobody argues that. It's just, what are we going to do to change it?
Yeah.
How do we change it? Raise the taxes? Do we change it? So
Which,
they're doing...
As of right now, isn't it like 2033, they're projecting that it's going to be 77 cents on the dollar or something like that?
Yeah, it would like run out of money. Yeah. And so we have to do something or they're going to run out of money or have to pay 70-something cents on the dollar. Or what do? Like just recently, they keep kicking full retirement age a little bit longer. Kick it out a little bit more. And what that does is it makes it so that, again, you have to wait longer to collect that full dollar for dollar, or you are going to force yourself into a 75 cents on the dollar kind of situation. Right? If you take it at 62 or something, it's going to be penalized. So it's, again, not even the government can do the guaranteed income thing. And it starts to be this question of why. It's like, well, you can't guarantee so many people all income for the rest of their life. If you can't say, how do we, predict this person's life? How do we predict, the contributions issue, people not putting in enough contributions? And it's like, it becomes this impossible task to guarantee people when it's like they made contributions, yes, at this rate, but it's not enough now because the contributions that they made and we invested a long time ago weren't enough to keep up with the medical advancements that are now keeping those people alive longer than they should have been.
And it was all happening at the same time. Medical advancements and the pension was happening. So it's like...
So what happens, right? So the government, again, so even still, we're kind of still in this place, but now pensions completely are gone, right? The employers are like, we give up, we're done, we're not doing it. We're going to say, we won't stop benefiting our employees because we have to give them some reason to be here, but we're going to embrace the 401k thing that came out a while back, and we're going to allow our employees, we're going to match the dollars there. So the contributions that the employer was helping with in the pension, they're just giving it to the employee and saying, you deal with the investment. You deal with all of it. You deal with the investment, you deal with the distribution, not our problem anymore. So they were literally willing to walk away from the ability to have top-notch employees because they can't make those promises anymore. They can't guarantee income for everybody. And it's like these people managing these funds. This is one of the power statements of the whole presentation is the people that are managing these funds are the best asset managers in the world. Like these are people, they're not schlubs. And I know there's a lot of people out there like, no asset managers are that great.
Mm-hmm.
Still, they're better than I am, or maybe not myself, but my mother is. They're better than them. They understand the market enough to hedge the bet to some degree. And no shame to my mother. She's a very smart woman, but she is not focused on the ups and downs and the various products in the market and what this indicator could mean for that different indice. And so, what happens? You find yourself with the decimation of the pension and all the liability aside from a meager third from the government, who's, again, like we said, having their own problems with that same asset management and the guarantees made by Social Security. What chance do you as the consumer stand to guarantee yourself income for what could be as long as a 30-year retirement? A lot of people don't realize, like they think they might die early 80s, but it's like the average life expectancy for somebody that gets to 62, 65. So if you make it to retirement, you can collect your full retirement, your full Social Security, let's say, you have a likelihood as a male making it to 86, sometimes even 88. By the time we get there, Jacob, it might be somewhere closer to 90. You know what I mean?
I don't think I even want to be here that long.
It's a lot of people probably agree with you. I'm just saying, it's like it's a huge ask to ask all of these non-financial professionals to go ahead and try and create guaranteed income from the rest of their life, and they're going to need it. You can't pretend like Social Security is just going to cover all your bills. It's not going to. And then the presentation kind of walks through the go-go, slow-go, no-go things that Tom Hegna's made popular. I think everybody obviously loves that. But it is telling the tale that this is a very hard thing to do. And the only place on earth, the only real companies on earth that can make those guarantees are insurance companies. And let me tell you why. And they go into the reasons. The story goes into the reasons why the insurance company can do it. Obviously, because they can control the contributions. It's mathematic formula. It's guarantees. The bonds that they're buying, how that's guaranteed. It goes into those things. They say, look, the insurance products might not be right for you, but it's worth a look for every single one of you that knows that you're going to need to generate an income, because these are the only companies out there. And so you see this monumental shift of financial planners starting to utilize these insurance products because they're realizing and having the same eureka moments, especially as the bond market has gone through this kind of decimation, or it's kind of proved its lack of resilience to certain market conditions.
And then on top of it not working, you're normally paying fees.
Yeah, you're paying outrageous fees on top of that for those same bond or other safe money strategies. And then you look at banks and it's like, okay, well, bank products might be there, but their guarantees are much less guaranteed as, say, an insurance company might be. And so, these insurance products have become kind of the, in the past, I feel like Wall Street has done a really, really great job having lobbyists and activists out there really arguing against the annuity world. But let's think about why. The reason they don't want money leaving, they just don't. I mean, that's what it is, really. I mean, I guess I got to my point before I wanted to. But they don't want the money leaving Wall Street.
Yeah.
That's why they don't want the annuity. The annuity is the perfect solution for guaranteed income. If you need guaranteed income for the rest of your life, why live the up and down roller coaster and potential dismay that might be there for you, especially with all the curveballs that might exist? These new annuities out there are not the ones that they pigeonhole as crap like there was back in the 80s. These new insurance products that are there for folks are designed with death benefit in mind, income riders. There are products that are strategic for growth and some income distribution through free withdrawal strategies. There are legacy play strategies. There's all different types of these annuities out there, insurance products. And it's time, and I think most of the financial world, other than those people that are solely in the Wall Street world, are seeing it. The problem is the Wall Street folks have the airwaves on lock. And that's a problem because independent advisors across the country are all starting to say, wait a second, a good hybrid blend, if we really need to generate income, especially in this new world, because again, I think retirement planners today are just now starting to see the problems with not having this guaranteed income stream from, say, an insurance company or a pension. It's like they're just now starting to see. It's like, who's been a retirement planner? I'm sure there's some people watching who's been a retirement planner for 20 years now and seen clients that you made 20 years ago without guaranteed income struggle. I mean, or be frustrated or go back to work or not do the things that they really wanted to, or be, too cash strapped. If done right, there's a place for these products, and it's almost unarguable because we look at the life and the happiness and the quality of the folks that had pensions a long time ago, and it's undoubtedly a more enjoyed and cherished thing, retirement being,
Yeah.
than it is nowadays, where it's kind of this worried, sick, gotta try and live on my Social Security check world. Doesn't have to be that way. And that's what this presentation does. And it really, I think, sobers people up to the fact it's like, look, the burden's been put on you. It's time to make a decision of how you're going to solve this. There are products that can help you, and you owe it to yourself to take a look at them. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I need the world to have a little bit of a reality check. And so it's so compelling. And I hope that you guys will take a closer look as you watch it, but it is a very, very powerful presentation. And I feel like, this is just one of a bunch. I mean, there are so many good presentations in the new repertoire with Asset Mentors, and kudos to the advisors that have helped us put them together, because they are just awesome.
I really think this one too, just out of all the presentations that I've filmed so far, this one takes like all the hot points from every presentation and just drops it in. So it's just like
in
bomb
a unique
after
kind
bomb
of historical
after bomb.
story too, right? It's like kind of tells the tale of time, and it's like you're bringing them down this path of like realizing, like, are you going to succeed where every other incredible asset manager has failed?
Yeah.
Good luck.
And they rely on Social Security. And on top of that, most people don't understand Social Security in the first place.
Yeah, and you don't even understand the Social Security. Yeah.
So it's
oh
like,
my God,
what are you supposed to do?
It's a really, really powerful thing. And so, if you're interested at all and you're watching this, if you're interested at all in that presentation, reach out to us. We will certainly get you some education on it, or actually get you the presentation. But anyway, that's it. We just wanted to, obviously, we're excited. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you right here next time on Coffee for Closers. Thanks.